So I guess we're just waiting for Canada versus Venezuela to start.
Yes.
I am looking forward to this one. Do we have any thoughts about this upcoming match?
Well, Canada definitely underrated in terms of seating placement, given that by the 3-player average, I think they're ranked 5th or 6th. I can't actually remember, but they're actually not ranked that fairly high. But that's something you should never underestimate, as Canada made it all the way to the finals last year, and their lineup is basically identical with what their winning team was last year. So, consisting of our beloved Tasha, Janitorial, Vlad Yushko, and Fudgy King, who I believe has recently come out of retirement just for this. And in addition, so there you have the 4 Horsemen of the Apocalypse, incredible players, and they're also backed up by Steven Rama and Yuno, formerly known as Nanners. And those two are definitely strong double-time players in their own right, and hard rock players. So
also,
Canada,
you were correct, it was Nanners. Actually, I don't remember what he changed his name to. All I remember is that it was Nanners. Oh, it was Yuko, wasn't it?
it was Nanners, and then it became Yuno.
Yuno, I had Yuko. Okay, Yuno. Yep.
Gasai Yuno from Mirai Nikki.
Yeah. It clicked as soon as I said it. Mirai Nikki was an interesting one.
I've never watched it, so I cannot comment.
It had an interesting concept.
Apparently, it's very jarring among the fan base. Some people love it, some people hate it.
I can understand why. I'm kind of like middle ground. I think the concept was good, but I felt the ending and certain parts of the story to be a little weak.
No, don't talk to me about endings and stuff. There's so many things that I started watching that were really good and then just got like endings.
Yeah, basically.
There's so many.
You know what the sad thing is? Technically, you can't Evangelion in that.
Yeah, you have to. That ending. Well, I mean, unless you consider the movies, like.
Yeah, but if you consider the original anime ending.
Yeah, it was garbage.
It was garbage.
It was hot garbage. And that makes me mad because that was like one of my favorites.
It was so good up until then. I'm like, what is this?
What just happened? Wait, I was just starting to get the story down and things were looking right. What? It's over?
Like, Magna, for context, the last 2 episodes is just static and narration.
Yep.
I'm not joking. No exaggeration, no nothing. Like, that is literally all it is.
Yeah, I mean, like, they literally. I felt like they ran out of time, or maybe they ran out of budget. I don't know.
Budget's probably more likely.
Because, like, it seemed like a really bad way to end it.
Okay, just going to interject there, answering some questions from Twitch chat. Firefox asks, is that Deadbeat? Yes, it is Deadbeat. Oh, sorry, I blew recovered.
I'm a rival.
Asks, did Germany or Spain win? Germany won 4-1. I believe Venezuela is currently facing some difficulties in contacting one of their teammates.
Apparently someone on Twitch said that you'd like the Evangelion ending. Hopefully it won't be another one by default. Here's hoping.
I mean, that's inherently one of the problems with a small team size. If I'm not mistaken, Venezuela
Has a full
actually
team.
has a full team,
Yeah,
but
Jesse.
a lot of them are actually busy.
Yeah, so
with-
Jesse Shinchinya 1000, Lord Ender, Seok Heijin, which I butchered completely, and Satoru. So they've got enough players.
They have enough players, but if I'm not mistaken, 2 of them are definitely unavailable for the day. And once you're knocked down to that, it makes it exceptionally difficult to... Yeah, I mean, I am not going to lie. I did miss one of my matches for this Taiko World Cup. But fortunately, my teammates were there to cover for me. So yeah, don't do what I do. I'm bad. So while we're waiting for Venezuela to collect their team members, I guess we can open the Twitch chat for questions. What do you think, Zetron?
But we have our first question. When does this start? Hopefully in the next 10 minutes. Because I believe players have until 10 minutes after the match starts to have all their teammates. If not, it's not looking good.
The score between US and Sweden was 4-0.
You're a meme streamer. Well, technically Doctave is the only... Oh... Actually no, Doctave and Pen are the only streamers. The rest of us are just commentators and extra help. So, no?
So Fighter19 asks, how to correctly learn alternating in Taiko without it feeling like a total struggle? Now, in my opinion, alternating is something that has to be built. It's not something that you can begin off instantly. It's simpler, it's easier to start off with a more basic playstyle and slowly work your way out to alternating. Because if you're gonna try and constantly alternate all the time, it's just too steep of a curve to learn, in my opinion. Time to Kill asks, is Israel going to be part of this World Cup? Israel is not a part of this World Cup as far as I'm aware.
I don't think they have not had a team in the Tokyo World Cup. I believe they've only had an Oz World Cup team and that's it. Let me double check that.
Grimba asks, who is your favorite featured artist? I like all the artists, to be honest. While I haven't heard every single track that they've composed, all of the tracks that I've listened to, they're all really good, so yeah.
Just to clarify, sorry, Israel was part of one of the many World Cups. I believe it was the 2005 4Key World Cup, and that's it. Also, as for my favorite featured artist, I would probably have to go DJ Sterile. When will Camellia be a featured artist, Kappa? Tomorrow. Kappa. Detroit, when will you take lessons on pronunciation?
Okay, Eleanor asks, when will Camellia be a featured artist? I am not qualified to answer that question.
And what was the question?
I'm pretty sure it was a meme question.
Right.
Alright, looks like Venezuela has found one of their teammates, and looks like Venezuela will be able to play with 3 players. So in addition to Chichinya and Lord Ender, they now have Seok Hyejin, I believe.
Alright, so they've got their 3 players now. Excellent. Why are there only 24 teams in this? Were the others eliminated or they just can't afford a team? There just weren't enough teams to have 32 teams this year. Generally speaking, Taiko's only ever had around like 20 to 24 teams. So at the very least, hitting the 24 teams mark is about what you'd expect. We're hoping one day we'll have enough players to form 32 teams, but I think we're still a wee ways off from that one. Other World Cups have had 32 teams though. Mania I think had 32 teams at one point, and Standard generally gets 32 teams each year. Taiko and Catch only really get like 24 teams.
If I'm not mistaken, there were actually 28 eligible teams for this year's World Cup. Don't quote me on that though, but if you read the weekly, you'll be able to... I believe there's a mention there about which teams were present last year, but not this year.
You believe there was a mention?
There is definitely a mention. Yeah.
You wrote it.
Hey, yes, I did write it. I'm allowed to, you know, fudge things a bit. If I'm not mistaken, though, the teams that won't be returning are Norway, Singapore, and one other team. I can't remember.
What do you mean won't be returning?
Like, who didn't make it for this... Who didn't return for this
playing.
year. Pardon?
Norway's playing.
No, oh wait, my bad. Oh, maybe I'm thinking of the players that... Okay,
Philippines,
wait.
Singapore, and Italy.
Thank you. I can't remember what I wrote.
I think Norway was one of the returning teams along with Ukraine, and I don't remember the third team. Let me go check.
All right, guys, not to cut you off, but to cut you off, we are getting into this match. We have managed to get the players, but they are on a very strict time limit. That being said, we are going to skip the warm-ups and get right into it. They're going to start with their roles, and then we're going to get this Taiko Drum Master stuff going. Taiko World Cup 2017. It's happening, guys.
Yeah, no, the other one was Finland. That's the re-welcome.
Oh, yeah.
Finland, Norway, Ukraine are back.
Alright,
Singapore and Philippines are on break.
Roles are in and bans are going through. Canada has banned IX or 9. And looks like Venezuela has gone for the obligatory ban for, you guessed it, Slit.
And we're going straight into Distrov. This one's going to be a little bit more rushed than normal as we are on a time limit. Venezuela is on a thread here. They have 20 minutes to do this. It's going to have to be decided in the 20. If they can't, He will unfortunately have to leave, and I do believe that'll probably result with win by default for Canada. Hopefully, we can avoid that.
But although picking the longest map in the pool while they're on the time limit.
I'm not sure if that was the greatest idea, but they've got this.
So it'll be fairly speedy. So in another World Cup I recently helped out on, an independent World Cup, teams were allowed to choose whether they banned first or picked first based on the role. So that was quite an interesting mechanic. Oh well.
You know, something I've always kind of wondered, and maybe it should be discussed a bit more now that things like this are apparent. Perhaps teams should consider looking into backups as well. Not someone that will absolutely play during the entire World Cup, but follows all the criteria and everything to participate in said World Cup and is just there for a backup. I know that doesn't really fix the problem if no team has a backup, and having a 6 roster should be more than enough, but it is really unfortunate to see things like this go down where it's literally put down to a race against the clock.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite such a shame that some teams, for example, like Ukraine, having only 3 players. Now, granted, all 3 of their players were punctual and were on time, so that was great. But can you imagine if any one of those players just didn't make it due to some personal circumstance?
Yeah, that's an automatic you lose.
Anyway, with the match underway, we can see that while there are misses from all the players, Canada is definitely showing a very obvious lead with about 200,000 points. With Canada's side, where they're averaging at an accuracy of about 98.5, Venezuela, it seems to be hovering at around. Well, while Chinchinya and Lord Ender are doing fairly well, Sok Hejin is, for the most part, struggling quite a bit with the patterns in this map.
I think that also might just be due to the fact that, like, he's the one that got pulled in instantly and
no warm-ups.
No warm-ups, nothing. A massive amount of pressure put on that one player. That's got to be rough.
Yeah, so the situation is not looking good for Venezuela.
And it looks like Lord Ender might have actually DC'd, which is quite unfortunate. I could be wrong, though. It could just be paused and catching
But given
up.
that we're quite a ways already into the map, so I don't think there'll be any...
Oh,
no!
there it goes.
There he goes.
Well, I mean, at least it was only lag and not a DC.
Oh, but we see that he's froze again. So
Oh dear.
maybe a bit of a shaky internet connection. Yeah, back on Canada's side, we see Stephen Rama just breaking 1,000 combo. Tasha and Yuno respectively holding very good accuracy at above 98%. So while not accounting for the lag that Lord Ender is experiencing, but we're seeing that Canada is currently having double the score that Venezuela currently has.
Yeah, and it's looking like it's almost double the score here, and that's very unfortunate. But I mean, Venezuela just not really going to have really good luck here. Unfortunately, one of their members did come down with some illness, and that's unfortunate. And, you know, I mean, the match still must go on. And super props to Silk for coming in here as being one of the lower ranked players, definitely trying his best here, but a lot of pressure, like I said earlier, a lot of pressure put on him. And it is quite unfortunate. And this map pool is not even going to give him a chance to breathe. So this is absolutely ouch. I mean, super props to Silk though for coming in to
In the moment of need, like
yeah,
when
in the
time
moment
came
of
down
need,
to.
knowing it might not plan out well. I mean, that takes a lot of heart. I probably would have not been able to do that myself. I would have just hid in a corner. Been like, nope.
Yeah, that's some excellent sportsmanship right there. I mean, just trying your best, even if you know you can't stand up against some of the stronger players in this World Cup, but just trying your best and just go for it. I think that's an excellent attitude. And while we're still waiting for Lord M to finish up, but looks like Canada will most certainly take the point there.
Very much so. All right. It does look like Venezuela has a shining ray of hope here. It looks like they are going to get one of their other players. It's going to have 1,000 come in, and huge round of applause for Soak. In all honesty, guys, that takes a lot of courage to be able to come up there knowing that you're probably one of the lower ends on the team and they needed him. I mean, if he wouldn't have showed up, that would have been a win by default, and Venezuela wouldn't even got their foot in the door. So even if his play wasn't extremely spectacular, the fact that he left that open long enough for one of the other team members to get in is like the most I've ever seen a player do for their team in the entirety of this tournament. That took a lot of guts.
I think we should definitely put our hands together for Silk.
Oh, for sure. You don't get to see stuff like that every day, because I would have not been that brave. I would have been like, nope, let it go, win by default. I'm good. All right, with that being said, though, 1,000 is going to jump in for Venezuela, give them a little bit of alleviation there after that really scary start. And hopefully we will see a good battle here. Canada definitely got that first point with relative ease, but now Venezuela feeling a little bit more confident, got some backing behind them. Their team is cheering them on as much as they can. Wishes go out to Jesse for the appendicitis that is really bad. And I hope the best, and we hope you have a speedy recovery. But the name of the game is victory here, and Venezuela is still on that potential chopping block, as Canada does have that first point on them, and I don't think the Canada boys are going to pull any punches anymore. I don't think they were pulling punches to begin with either. I mean... So that's really awesome. Okay, so this next match is well underway here, and it looks like Fujin Rumble is what they're going on. As you can see here, we have everybody holding pretty decent at this point. It does look like Canada has the early lead here, but not by much, as Venezuela's right on their tail.
But yeah, we have some double S's from Canada's side. I mean, just look at Janitorial nailing those finishers.
Yeah, doing incredibly well. Canada is pulling that score a little bit further. It looks like they're about 90,000 points, and Venezuela's still trailing behind, but that lead is slowly going more and more. Loda Ender did have some problems earlier, but he has recovered quite nicely.
I mean, the tricky things about this map are just the weird snappings in this map. It's very difficult to constantly swap between odd patterns and even patterns.
Yeah, and there's a lot of monocolored patterns here. I see a lot of dimes, really heavy dime usage.
And it's just the balance between even and odd patterns, and if you're not prepared, it can be very difficult to count them.
Very much so. It is looking like this might be a second victory for Canada as their score continues to sail over Venezuela. Definitely giving it a try though, but it's not 100% sure, but it does look like Canada is going to take this victory. And the MVP for that one is definitely going to be Janitorial with a very impressive score there, getting the solid 1,000,000 points and then a little bit above.
That would probably be from the drum roll, I guess.
Yeah. And yes, as Twitch chat is saying, it's kind of a convert. So I could see why some people are going, this map is crazy. But that is good, as we're going to move over to our next one, which is responsibility response. Canada getting that second point is definitely going to be good for them, as they are in a really good shape here. But if Venezuela can turn this around, it will be one for the record books. We could definitely talk about this match for quite some time.
Yeah, one thing to point out on that previous map is that it's really interesting to note Janitorial managed to get over 1 million score on that particular map when Score V2 caps at 1,000,000. So Janitorial hit those patterns with such a high accuracy and nailed those sliders perfectly, and hence he was able to just pull over 1,000,000 points, which is really impressive considering he's not using any mods or anything.
Alrighty, so this next one should be getting started in just a moment. Okay, so we're just waiting for them to get started here. All right, and it looks like this next match is going to get underway. Awesome.
All right, so this map, it's by far the lowest SR in the entire pool, but it's in the free mod brackets, and that opens up the possibility of players being able to use the hidden hard rock mod, which gives a 12% score bonus on top of the 1,000,000 cap. So it looks like we have Steven Rama going no mod, The same with 1000. And while... So we almost have a symmetrical choice in mods. Chichinya and Janitorial both going Hidden Hard Rock, while Yuno and Lord Ender duking it out with Hard Rock.
Yeah, it does look like everything is pretty equal in terms of mods here, but the score is going to be a little hard to judge as it's going along, because I do believe Lord Ender's a little bit behind there.
Yeah, but just judging from the accuracies, we see Steven Rama and Janitorial holding on to that, well, formerly holding on to that double S, but Chichinya is not doing so well in terms of accuracy. He's just hovering just under about 95%. But with the additional bonus of 2 mods, that definitely puts him above any no-mod player. But against a player with mods, he might be just about even with a single mod player like Yuno, if not less. So
yeah, and unfortunately 1000 really had some problems there at the beginning, taking heavy accuracy tank, and that is just not going to be good for Venezuela, and it's looking to open the door for Canada to swoop in and take another point here. We are hitting the 50% mark of the song, so things are really going to heat up here, and Lord Ender's about like 15% behind, so I mean, we do have to take their score into account as it will continue to rise, but I do believe, just looking at the accuracies, like you said, Magnemizer, it looks like it might be in favor of Canada.
I mean, I know there's lag on Venezuela's side with Lord Ender, but even if there is that much lag, we can, like, I doubt that would account for a 500,000 point difference. So
yeah, you're absolutely correct.
Yeah, but the key to this map is the ability to be able to hit finishers consistently without dropping.
Yeah, Steven Rama actually finding a miss there late into the song. But as you said, the finishers here, I'm actually really impressed with all the players so far in this World Cup when it comes to finishers. Seems like everybody's really committing to trying to hit the big ones there. As I say that, Lord Ender kind of lazied a line of finishers, but
I mean, like, with, how do I put it? With the inception of Scorpion 2, a lot of players were against the fact that finishers were given so much weighting, but yet here we see players being perfectly capable of playing finishers, even if it's out of necessity. We can see that players are perfectly capable of doing so. Right, and that concludes that point. Canada takes it with a decisive victory, with Janitorial with only 3 100s using Hidden Hard Rock. That is astonishing. It's truly astonishing. The rest of the players having only a handful of misses, while compared to Venezuela having on the orders of tens of misses, like dozens. So yeah. And that gives the point to Canada. And Zetrop, what does that take the score to?
That is going to be 3-0 in favor of Canada.
I guess that's going to be match point.
Potential match point. We can't count Venezuela out yet.
Oh yes, my mistake.
Not a problem. I've definitely fell into that line of thinking sometimes myself, especially when you see some of the stronger teams we have playing up against some of the lower seeds. You're like, oh, these poor guys. But I've been pleasantly surprised quite a few times. All right, and it looks like Janitorial is going to swap out so Tasha can get back in here and give his team his strength and energy.
So it looks like Canada has gone for non-stop, which is the highest star rated map in the entire pool, I believe. No, wait, it isn't. My mistake. Ignore me. I'm being stupid. But yeah, this map, I believe it's one of the funner maps in the entire pool. I mean, it's a song you can dance to, as the song name would suggest.
Very much so. So it looks like we're going to be seeing our next one. And it looks like they might, well, I'm not exactly sure which one they're going to pick. The chat went too quick. Okay, there we go. It looks like they're going to be going with point zero. A Nickelmana Master song. You know, I see a lot of these in the Taiko World Cups, and I'm never tired of them. I actually like this music quite a bit.
Okay, so ignore everything I said in the past 2 minutes, but it looks like they're going for non-stop.
Alright, so this thing should be getting underway. This is potential match point for Canada. If they can secure this one, they take the victory. This is also the last chance for Venezuela to get on the board and prevent that loss from hitting them. Hopefully we will see a really good battle with this last one. And here we go, guys.
Alright. So both teams off to an excellent start, but an early drop from Stephen Rama there. But given that the team's accuracy on the whole is better, it looks like Canada is still going to cling on that lead, but just barely.
Yeah, it is very close, Magmizer.
And a miss from Lord Ender there, and that's going to widen the score gap by about 20,000 points. But we're still seeing full combos from Tasha and Yuno and Bowsen as well. And here we enter the tricky stream sections, and we have 5 players tanking in that section. So we're seeing tanks from all the players except for Tasha.
Yeah, Tasha did hold incredibly strong in that section, which is really surprising because isn't he a DDKK player?
Yeah, and that being a KKDD player allows him to be able to execute certain patterns with relative ease, is how I would describe it. But yeah, as we enter the trickier section, we find Venezuela struggling a tad bit with the more complex patterns. But while both Tasha and Yuno holding incredibly well, Stephen Rama's missed quite a bit, but it looks like Canada has taken this match point with a fairly confident victory. And while none of the players had an FC, they still managed to beat Venezuela by a clear margin of about 500,000 points or so. Yeah, that was definitely an impressive showing from Venezuela, though. But I mean, with the whole Siok coming in at the last moment, and then
Yeah, I mean, still they did very well for like given their circumstances and what they had to do. I feel like they really gave it their all, and I mean that's all you can really expect out of anyone in these world tournaments. And they tried their best, and it wasn't good enough, and that happens.
when it comes down to it, only the strongest team will make it through. And
Exactly.
Canada has proved time and time again that they are very consistent and they're a force to be reckoned with. So it looks like Canada takes a clean sweep 4-0. And yeah, we'll see how the rest of these countries will do in future matches.
Okay, so we've actually got a bit of time until our next match. Coming up in around 20 minutes, we will have Australia versus Venezuela, and we will have United States versus Brazil.
Which, if you think about it, is actually quite, as I said, Venezuela has been getting a lot of pressure. They've just had a match with Canada, and now back-to-back, with only 20 minutes of break, they're in for another match again. And hopefully, by then, they'll be able to solve their, the words escaped me. What's that word called? Attendance? I can't. Detroit, help me out here. What's the word called?
For attendance,
Yeah,
participation.
I don't know, but I think everyone's getting the gist of what I'm trying to say. Is hopefully more people can make it to the match for Venezuela. I certainly hope so.